Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be providing a market analysis update on Cardano and discussing how it is showing relative strength compared to the rest of the market. So I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you want to show some support, please leave a like and subscribe. So I did a video on Cardano just a few weeks ago. I'll leave the link in that description just so you can check that out, because I made a lot of important points that I'm going to be kind of developing a little bit more in this video. So I talked a lot about the 20-week simple moving average and the 21-week exponential moving average, and how together they form this pretty important band where when price is below it, it's a pretty defined bear market, and when price is above it, it's a pretty defined bull market. So as you can see on this bounce with this relative strength that Cardano has, we are still not yet back up to this band. Currently, from right now, we are down about 26% from it, but that could obviously change in the next few days. As we see a new close of this is going to be coming down a little bit, because if we go back 20 weeks or 21 weeks, we can see how we were closing at much higher levels. So just to kind of illustrate that, if we were to go back 20 weeks, you can see how we were closing around $1.17. So we're replacing that close with one that's much lower down at 64 cents. So this will continue to move down, and in the next few days, if this bounce continues, we could be relatively close to it. Right now the band is ranging from 84 cents all the way up to 89 cents. So in the next few weeks, I would expect a very key retest of this level, and I talked about that in my last video. I said I would expect sometime in the next few months where you would expect some sort of retest of these bands, and whether or not we are able to reclaim it and hold it as support or not will ultimately dictate how I'm feeling on Cardano. So if we are able to get back above it and reclaim it, then I will be very bullish on Cardano. And if we are to reject off of it, I would expect a continuation of this longer term downtrend, or some sort of double bottom off the current lows made at roughly 38 cents. So I'm going to zoom in now onto the daily time frame to show you a different moving average that I really like, and kind of talk about the relative strength that Cardano is showing in the short term. So I have the 50-day simple moving average here. As you can see, the price is just under it. We're starting to see some consolidation below it, and really we haven't had any closes above it since April of this year. So if we go back, you can see how that was around 59 days ago, so roughly 2 months. And the key point about this move here is that when we got above it, we never had any closes above it as support. So you can see how we didn't really test it until we came back on this 11th April candle, and when we did, we closed below it and we held it as resistance. So this never held as support, and you can see some key rejections in February and December. So really, this is a very important moving average, and we like to see closing prices above it, holding it as support, because obviously in that scenario, you can see some decent bounces off of it. For example, if we go all the way back to March of 2021, when the 50-day simple moving average was roughly $1, we bounced all the way back up to $1.50, forming this sort of triple top here. And as you can see, we are continuing to consolidate below it. Ideally for price, if we can continue this bounce here and get back above it, maybe towards 75 cents, that would be great for price action. So just kind of illustrating what I'm talking about. If we can do something like this, where we come above it and then start consolidating and then holding it as support and then continuing upwards, then that would be a very good look for Cardano. The 50-day simple moving average would most likely kind of round out here and start moving back up. And an upward sloping 50-day simple moving average is a pretty bullish sign. It kind of shows how the 50-day trend is trending up, and that is a good sign. We would like to see that kind of round off bottom here and start moving back up if Cardano can get back above this moving average and hold it as support. And really, by holding it as support, we would like to see a few tests of it sort of bouncing off of that level. So that's what I would expect if Cardano is to continue this relative strength. If we go over to the Cardano Bitcoin chart, we can see how it is outperforming Bitcoin in the short term. So we have this nice little bounce here, some sort of double bottom formed. We don't know if these lows are going to hold for the time being, but as you can see, we're up 35%. So Cardano is up 35% with respect to Bitcoin. So that means that, if Bitcoin is moving sideways, Cardano could bounce 35%. That's kind of sort of what this is telling us. It's telling us that Cardano is outperforming on this bounce, which is a great sign to see. We're kind of sort of at this level here where it could be a key pivot point, some sort of inflection point. As you can see, we have some pretty significant and defined lower highs in the past. For example, in April, this level at 0.000026 was a pretty key lower high, and then this lower high in January at 0.000038. So ideally, what we would like to see is a continuation of this relative strength with respect to Bitcoin, and just sort of trending back up to some of these lower highs, right? So that's kind of what we're looking for. We want to see like this uptrend kind of start to form where we don't really revisit those lows and we start taking out these levels here that formed these lower highs back a few months ago. So if we are able to see this, I would expect Cardano to do very well on the USD chart, considering how that would mean Cardano is outperforming Bitcoin, right? So if it's outperforming Bitcoin, that makes the USD pair much more strong, and maybe could lead us to target some of these upward resistance levels. So we have this downward sloping trend line on the USD pair. As you can see, there's several key rejections off of this trend line here. Currently at today's price, it's around 93 cents. But if you say test it in a few weeks, we could be testing it at 80 cents in the kind of beginning phase of July. We also have this red resistance here. I've kind of outlined this just because in 2021, this was basically the floor price of Cardano. You can see how we had so many tests of this level. Actually, I'm just going to circle them here in orange so you can see there was about, I believe, 7 of these retests, and some pretty key ones where we had pretty strong bounces off of these levels. But ultimately, we can see how we had support at this level here several times. It was resistance in February on this kind of initial peak here. And you can see how we flipped that resistance into support. We held this level for basically 150 days, consistently retesting it, every 30 days or so. And on this last retest, we formed a new all-time high. So I would argue that this is probably one of the most important levels you want to watch on the USD pair, considering how strong of support it was in 2021. And you can see how we had one bounce here shortly after this kind of capitulation that Bitcoin made, and then when we fell below it and we couldn't really hold it as support on a move back above it, that was kind of the sign that most likely we would be trending to new lows, and that we did. We came all the way down to 38 cents. I would expect most likely this 38 cents low to be the bottom in the event that Bitcoin has bottomed at 25 cents or $25,000, excuse me. So I would watch a key retest of this level at roughly $1. If we are able to start making our way back above it and reclaiming it and holding it as support, then that would be a phenomenal look for Cardano, and I would expect that to be very, very bullish. So something like this where we get back above it, we consolidate, that would kind of lead to the conclusion of this downtrend where we have a break of this downward sloping resistance, a break of these lower highs and that kind of lower high structure, and a reclaim of the 50-day simple moving average. So that's all the stuff I am looking out to see from Cardano. That's kind of what I'm looking for to be bullish, and I hope you guys did enjoy this analysis. I like how Cardano is showing this relative strength in the short term. As you can see, we are up about 67% off these lows. We would like to see that trend and structure continue, kind of breaking a lot of these resistance levels much higher up. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will see you in the next one.